It's early, but I love that vista up there. Let's see if I can get it a little bit back of the way. There are just some really, really unusually shaped mountains out here. Layers of mountains. And we've got some low clouds. Just a very cool area. We're about 10 miles east of Bow Wyoming on State Highway 70. And that big dark mountain over on the left is Battle Mountain, and we're going to be going around the north side of that mountain, around the left side of it, pretty shortly. But first we'll dip down into Savory, or into Slater, Colorado. I do believe we have to get through Dixon. We just go through Dixon. There are two little towns here, Dixon and Savory. And because I'm not a local, I mean, I'm local, but I'm not local enough to know which town is first. I believe it's Dixon. Or I believe Dixon and then Savory. I'm going. So it's October 3rd. Now, probably still in the high 30s. It was supposed to be a freeze advisory, freeze warning this morning, but I haven't seen that materialize. Thank goodness. Now, yesterday I did see some snow on the flat tops. So winter is coming. I know in spite of the global warmest swish that everything would be boiling right now. Sorry to disappoint them. Well, not sorry, actually. It's not a bad rig. They want me like 50 grand for that thing. Kind of nice. We're down here in the valley a little bit. Crap. If you didn't see that, here on this desolate road, there are two deer standing looking to go across just to the right of me. Just as I passed that truck oncoming. I mean, what are the odds of that? In my mind, they're pretty damn slim. That the group of us met at that one spot, and the deer, which aren't typically known for making the right decision, made the right decision. By the time I saw the deer, there was no point slowing down. I mean, I didn't see them with enough time to react properly. And freaking out at that point would have probably been a worse thing to do. I have found from experience that is a kitty cat, probably not, probably a little rabbit. One of those creatures, we have some antelope down in the pasture. I have found from experience that if you continue your speed and your heading, right, don't swerve when you're around animals, you give them a better idea of where you're going. And that, I think, applies to deer also. You know, if you give them an idea of what the issue is, if a deer makes the wrong choice, you know, they could be a couple 100 pounds or more of creature coming through your windshield. They're probably going to die, and you might die. So that was pretty creepy just now that happened. And keep in mind, I am super vigilant right now. I'm running at or just a tiny bit under the speed limit. The only reason that I'm at the speed limit is so I don't slow other people down. I've already been passed once today, a few miles out of Gray. Oh, north side of Black Mountain was beautiful. Very nice. So here we are, Colorado. The last 3 times I've come down this road, I've met that vehicle within a mile of this spot. So we are in Slater, Colorado at this moment, passing by the, I guess you could call it the historic old post office. I guess I'm filming because I like this time of day. I think it's just a real pretty time of day. There are some really beautiful plats of scenery coming up too. Whether the sun is gonna hurt or help, I don't know. We'll find out. Not too many bugs today yet, but there will be. Luckily, we didn't get the big freeze that they were forecasting. I didn't believe it was going to freeze anyway, because I heard that there were 2 disturbances moving through here, and typically when a front comes through, when the front clears out is when it gets cold. This time of year and in the winter. But if another front's coming in, it usually stays warm. You know, it's warm as the front comes in, then they eventually when the front leaves, it finally cools off. So yeah, I didn't see the cold. I didn't expect it. But I was worried about it. I was prepared for it. I make my own windshield washer fluid in the summer because I go through it so much trying to keep my windows clean. Well, I had a little bit left in the container in the car. Oh. There's that nice, cool Battle Mountain. This little peak over here to the right, Pinnacle Peak, am I right about it? I've heard the name of that mountain. I don't know if it's actually a mountain, it's more like a hill. It's probably about 500 feet, 600 feet tall. I'd be winded if I climbed that grade, that's for sure. Those must be rabbits. Rabbits are just, I noticed that certain times of year, certain animals get out on the roadway. There's just more of a certain animal moving around. And right now it seems to be the rabbits. About a month ago, it would have been the raccoons. And you see a bunch of dead raccoons. One of these days, maybe, I might want to take the drive that we'll be passing by. There's a turnoff right here, this 710. It goes back into Colorado. It goes up to the Three Forks area, which is a real high-end ranch. I'm assuming it's a guest ranch. But it is really high end. I have a feeling that my yearly income wouldn't buy me a room there for a week. I don't make much money, but I still make, I'm able to afford everything I need and most everything I want within reason. Wow, they actually patched this road up. I typically get in that other lane right there, but I was stymied by their guys in their little Ford tracker, little quad deal gadget. I don't get those things. You can't take them many more places than you can take a vehicle, and they tear up easy. They're not sturdy. So what's the draw? I don't get it. Maybe it's so you don't tear up your $100,000 pickup. I could sort of see that, but those things are probably between 10 and 20 grand new, I think the oak brush has changed. That's a big shame. There's a valley right around this corner where the oak brush last week was spectacular. It was gorgeous. But it looks to me like we're too late for the oak brush. I could be wrong. We'll find out real shortly over the top of this hill. And due to a repair gone bad in this car, the Sunday, not last Sunday, but Sunday before last, I wasn't able to drive this car last week. So I was not able to film this magical area coming up. But I was able to see it. But it looks like it's peaked. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, it does look like trees are falling. And there could have been a big wind here too yesterday. Yeah, we're getting up to the area. It's right ahead here. aspens are really pretty. They're like in the middle of their color change. There we go, there's the spot. Yeah, it lost a whole lot of its amazing color over the last week. It's still pretty. And actually the aspens have come in. And by the way, those skid marks that you saw going off the road, no, there's not a vehicle down there. They got me last week. I stopped and decided I better look because that looked like a really bad wreck. So this is the spot right here. And you can't see all the way over to the right. It's all the way up to the mountain. It's beautiful. Very pretty. But last week it was awesome. This week it is still beautiful. You can't see it, and I can't change the camera. It's fixed position. However, there are still things that you will see that are very pretty. Like, yeah, that's beginning to brighten up. Oh, that's pretty. Yeah, that's gorgeous. The light's getting just about enough to really start making this place look great. Yeah, the weather report forecasted snow this morning. I mean, last night it did. Snow all up and down this road. I think from about 5 to 8 or 9 or 10 in the morning. So it's about 4 or 5 hours. I'm here to tell you, I'm glad that didn't happen. There could still be snow up here, though. It definitely could have hit. What I'm seeing, though, yeah, they had a big wind here yesterday. The wind is supposed to be extremely savage today, too. But I think that the strength of that storm moved to the north or to the south. But it was windy yesterday. It was getting with it. It blew a lot of the leaves off these trees. It's always sad to see the leaves, diminish, that brightness diminish. November, man. Well, it's November, or no, it's October. There's a creature. That's a much better way to meet them than meeting them at 65 when you just see them and there's a car in the other lane oncoming. I mean, That's pretty bad. Now that's pretty nice though. That's beautiful. Oh yeah. Nice reddish, orangish. You can see there the oak brush and the aspen over there. You know, the oak brush is dark and lost most of its leaves. It's a dark, sort of a dark maroon underneath that yellow. And when I look at the fall colors, and I'm sure that I'm not the only one, that it's one of those clues that things don't just happen randomly. There's a design behind things, and I believe in God, so I think it's God, and I think God is the greatest artist of all times. I mean, obviously. And this is just a tiny little bit of God's work. That's how I see it. It's so pretty, you know. It will literally take your breath away at times. Yeah, backed up. Yeah. Oh man, it's beautiful. Yeah, I'm liking this. I'm glad I'm able to film this. If this makes it, that would be great. If it doesn't, I probably have something that was more spectacular. You know, well, this is really nice. This is a very pretty view. Probably the wind got to these trees, got the leaves. You can see where the trees are more protected from the wind because they still have their leaves. It was really, I mean, it was a hell of a storm yesterday. I was coming back from Steamboat, and it was windy as hell. Really, really windy. It was the first front moving in, but apparently there is another front that moved through last night, or that is moving in right now. I don't really know. It's pretty red. It's kind of rare to see that red in an aspen tree. Oh yeah, we probably better take the do the turnoff this morning. That's a nice view. There's a scenic turnoff down here on this real steep grade. We're going to run down here and just take a quick look at it. I don't think I'll be coming back this way unless the weather gets really bad. I'm thinking about going, when I come back from Laramie, I think I'll go down the Laramie River Road and go up onto Cameron Pass, because I think the Cameron Pass in that area ought to look as just about spectacular as it can. Although yesterday was a big deal. That storm came through and you can see there was moisture in here, the moisture on the road, the dark spots. So it certainly could have messed things up. Apparently, I'm not the only one to come up out here. Let's just swing over this way. So that's Black Mountain right there we're looking at. Then if I point this car, we're looking basically south, and we're looking at the Zirkles right now, and you can see the clouds are pretty much down low. So yeah, that's very pretty. I don't want to disturb these guys too much, but what a hell of a view. Very pretty. Very pretty this morning. I would have hung out a little more, but I don't want to. The way that when I use this camera, when I use this car as a camera mount, I kind of hog the road. I can't really do that with that other person there. There's typically not many people there, but there are hunters up here. I think we're in the middle of bow season. But look at those views. Yeah. This is one of the things that you get to see when you're out here camping, if you're a hunter. One of the reasons why people like to hunt, I think, at this time of year, because it's just no denying it's so beautiful here. Resistance is futile. You're going to like this. It's pretty. Oh yeah, that dirt road looked a little bit muddy. But I have been coming up this way because this road will shut down. I mean, it might shut down in a few weeks, which would be a real shame. So I'm taking advantage of it as much as I can, and loving the fact that I don't have to go through Steamboat every time I go up to Laramie. and loving the fact that I can come up here and look at this beautiful scenery. But it's in a way, because it's only open a short time, well, half the year, it makes it more special. That's pretty. So these mountains that we're going up to, as we head over this, call it a pass, head up through the old town of Battle, and then back down into encampment. These mountains are the Sierra Madre range. I believe that's right, yeah. There's some rocky mountains. Rocky. Like that. You see there, it's just one gigantic chunk of rock. It's a pretty big mountainside right there, too. Extending up into the clouds. Yeah, we could certainly have snow here. Some interesting rocks there too. Yeah, I'd like to go take a look at those rocks. They're kind of interesting looking. So are these. So here I am talking. I'm choking on nothing. Yeah, this is really nice. How's my windshield looking? I did get a rock in this brand new windshield. It's been about 4 weeks I've had this windshield. And yesterday I got a rock. It hit so hard that it broke. It made a star, but it was a big star. And it broke through both layers of glass. And the glass shop, they were hesitant to fix it. They said they wouldn't guarantee that it would work. But I went ahead and had him do it after, you know. I got the feeling the guy felt he would be able to do a pretty decent job on it. So I went ahead and let him give it a try, and we'll see. I mean, it looks damn good. The result is great, but there are still fractures in the window that I can see. It's up near the top of the window. So if the fractures behave, I think we'll be okay. But we'll see. My last windshield had been hit several times, but the thing that took it out was a star that was right on the edge of the glass. It had hit. And I didn't catch it because it was so close to the edge of the glass. and I didn't repair it. So one day, I hit a cattle guard really hard in North Park. Probably a cattle guard about 60 miles southeast of here, as the crow flies. And it had been at a time where the road hadn't been graded yet from the winter. And I hit that so hard, I mean, it was a big hit, that it extended that crack and broke that crack, or caused it to crack further. I don't mind these guys setting, but parking in the middle of the road when there's a shoulder is kind of dangerous. I had to get into the oncoming lane. Not that there's a lot of traffic up here, but there could be. It's really pretty. We're getting up into the clouds though now, so it's dark, getting darker. A little fog, anyone? This is really pretty. I probably don't need to point that out, but it's just got a very nice feel to it. I could imagine living up here when the mines were going up here over 100 years ago, like 120, 130 years ago. Getting up in the morning up here on a day like today, getting to work, more than likely you were probably horseback or walking. There were several mines up here, copper mines, gold mines, different. I mean, there were different metals, different minerals found up here. The copper was really the main one. That's what this district is really known for. And there are still several people that live up here. A lot of the claims that were made up here during that time, people held on to them, and they're now patented claims, and now that's private property. They own that land. Pretty cool for them. I'm a little bit butthurt about it, though, because I would really like to walk down to the Battle Lake. I think it's called Battle Lake. It's a lake just off to the right down here in a couple miles. It's all private property. I think something like that should be public property, But, I mean, if someone owns it, they own it. I'm not saying that they shouldn't be able to own it. It's just that I'm sure that the public would love to be able to get down to that lake and fish or camp or just hang out. It's beautiful down there, beautiful mountain valley, which we probably won't see today. Probably not going to see any of the cliffs or the scary things that give away the height of this area today, because we're in the clouds. We're probably up around 10,000 feet. I'm just guessing, but I don't think I'm too far off. I make mine up right up there. That's actually on government land right there. That's actually accessible, that little line. Although it's just basically a tailings pit pile. The shaft looked like a vertical shaft, and it's been filled in, and any of the structure that was there is gone other than concrete footings, probably for the winch motor. It's cold up here. I'll bet we're right around freezing up here. I'm not getting a lot of condensation on the windshield. That would be my biggest clue that it's ice crystals up here. That are less likely to cling to this windshield than water droplets. Oh yeah, this icy up here. All the all the grass is iced over. We'll run to there's a restroom facility up here at the old town of Battle, or the ghost town of Battle. I guess you would call it somewhat of a subdivision nowadays. Just gonna leave this car running. All right. It is cold up here, y'all. Keep in mind, it was about a month ago that the moron that runs the UN. Oh yeah, look at these posts here. Tell me if you notice anything on that post. That's either ash from something boiling that's being blown in the wind, but you and I know better. We know that's snow. Yeah, snow and maybe some of the ice that's blowing here is collecting on those posts. So anyway, we're back on the road, my friends. This is the summit, the high point. I would not want to be up here today. The last few weeks there have been hunters up here. They parked right up here. You can sort of see, maybe you can see, yeah, right up in there. There is only one vehicle there today. That does not surprise me. This is bad weather. And by the way, that's snow. That's not ash. It's on the right side of the road. Why do I say that? Because I don't want the Attorney General, or whatever the hell he is, the whatever the hell his designation is, the main idiot in charge of pushing communism and darkness back into the world, otherwise known as the UN, to mistake that for ash, and to mistake all this smoky looking material for burning, you know. I don't know if any of y'all know this, but I'm here to tell you. In Colorado, in the last few years, there have been snowfields that last year-round. And the difference between the snowfield and the glacier is that the glacier moves a little bit, but I think that's basically it. The idea that it's cold enough all summer long, when we're told the climate is boiling, but it's cold enough all summer long that the snow isn't melting, and we're getting snowfields. So and which, like I said, is not much different than a glacier as far as the idea that it's there year-round. The Zirkles have got snowfields on them, glaciers, you might say, and the flat tops also, I've noticed for the last few years. So when you hear people talk about this, this fantastical fantasy warming, that's what it is. It's a freaking fantasy. While I'm on the subject, I noticed that there's like I think they call themselves the CO2 Coalition or something on the app formerly known as Twitter. And I was reading some of their stuff and they were talking about how, well, global warming is good and CO2 is good. Well, I agree that CO2 is good, but I don't agree with the premise to begin with that global warming even exists. I do, though, understand and agree, and it makes complete sense to me that we do have years or decades or centuries where the planet will cycle in and out of a weather pattern. I'm looking at an area right now that I want to get out and walk and check. I may not get to it this year. And so I kind of take issue with them accepting the premise that there is global warming and then arguing that it's a good thing. I think that when you're arguing what I would call a faulty premise, you're not really doing anything. You've basically agreed with like I said, a faulty premise. Kind of a nice view. The sun is down in the valley. So oh yeah, and I can drink my coffee now. I've done 85.9 miles. 86 miles. I guess my point is that I'm not seeing the global warming. I've been paying attention to this my entire life because as a kid, I was a little scientist. I was very interested. Oh, that was a sage grouse. Could have been a ptarmigan. They call them ptarmigans too, or a cousin of that, or a bird similar to that. Pretty. Who knows what we're going to see today? It's just going to be an interesting day. It's a beautiful day. It's change. Cyclical, seasonal change. So while I understand, the cyclical nature, I've seen it in my entire life. I was extremely excited when I was a kid about the possibility of an ice age. I thought, wow, how cool is that? We're going to have an ice age. That's what the scientists believed. Well, that's what people believe. Let me put it that way. To say scientists believe it is kind of like claiming that 97% of scientists agree that there's climate change. That is utter bullshit. Made up media bullshit. I'll get into that someday, maybe not today. So I watched it, and I watched the people talk about what they were going to do. Oh, we're gonna grind up coal, which I think is kind of funny. That's what they would have had to use. We're going to grind coal up into a fine powder, and we're going to load it up into planes, and we're going to spread it all over the ice fields up in Alaska and Canada, and we're going to stop global warming. That's going to melt everything, and things are going to go back to normal. That was their plan. Well, that's a pretty fucking stupid plan, but that was their plan. What is their plan now? Well, they don't really have a plan. They have a scheme, the net zero scheme. The And so in that sense, they have demonized CO2, which is a very, very poor performing greenhouse gas. It's not the greenhouse gas you would want. If you were going to put a gas in your greenhouse, you would probably pick something else. Or you would pick a mix of gases, because plants like, they like CO2, but they like other gases also. And the animals that are around plants. Anyway. And in your greenhouse, you still have you've got like a micro biological, I can't think of the word, its own little separate, bunch of little things living, right? No, I can't think of the word. Your ecosystem, there we go. Now, when I stopped to use the restroom, this guy got in front of me. The last time I was behind one of these guys, I got my window chipped, so I'm kind of scared. Better do it. That's beautiful over on this side. Typically in the winter, when you get on I'm gonna call this the leeward side of the mountains, because the wind is usually coming from the west. Typically, it's really foggy and wet on this side of these mountains. That's what I find. Gore Pass is a great example. Well, rabbit ears too. I think there are some pegmatites out there in those fields. You see some white spots, white areas. I think that's pegmatite outcrops that I really want to go look at, but I don't want to, trespass on people's property. So I guess I'll remain wanting to look at them. Well, cool. What I'm going to do is I'll end this video down here in encampment. And then once we get started back up the next mountain range here, I'll go ahead and start another video. I don't know how long this has ran, but I'll bet it's ran for over an hour. Anyway, we're dropping down into the valley. There's the Encampment River, and then there's what river is that? This morning. North Platte, yeah. Maybe it's just a Platte River here. There's another area over on the hillside where there's been a lot of, it looks to me like mining going on. The way that the rocks are chipped out, I'm assuming gemstones. I'm assuming that it's a pegmatite outcrop, which is common for this area. I'm looking at it over right to my left, to my right, excuse me. Yeah, my other right. But that's the way it looks. It looks like it's been picked a little bit by people looking for gemstones. I'm sure that there are some locals here that know all about it. I don't happen to know those locals. But I would love to find some gemstones that I could cut, that I could find, locally. I can find them down in southern Colorado. Like I said, I mixed some 20 below windshield washer fluid with the water, with my soap that I make up. Yeah, I gotta slow down. That combination, there we go, streaks the window. Well, it doesn't streak the windows, but it makes that what you just saw happen. And the colder it is, the worse it is. If it's below freezing, it's very annoying. I mean, you almost have to scrape that stuff off of your window. Got going on here. Just everybody's car needs fixed. So here we are in encampment on a beautiful fall morning. Grand Encampment Museum. I would like to see that. Need to pay attention to the traffic signals. So my next journey is going to be heading up north on, I believe it's 130. Maybe it's 230 up here. I get these highways confused. It's either 130 or 230. But I want to go north, and I want to go over the Medicine Bow Range, the Snowy Range. Next, pretty morning. I am gonna pull over, take my shirt off. I've got a heavy shirt on. No, I'm not gonna drive around shirtless. Anyway, if y'all are going somewhere, drive careful. Hope you enjoyed this trip up into the clouds and the fall. I thought it was pretty gorgeous. And who knows what the rest of the day is going to bring. There are times that I do this while I'm driving, try to wrestle myself out of a shirt. And it's a lot like wrestling. But wrestling while driving, that can't be good. But anyway, take care, and I'll see you later.